Gentlemen of YouTube, this is Travis Semulin Hours, and we're jumping into a traditional best of 3 Strixhaven Draft. A little change of pace, but that's all right. Chat, say hello to YouTube. We're also having some chips, so if you hear me crunching a little bit, that's what's going on. I'm curious about Cultivate versus Professor of Symbology. And I think I like the Cultivate better. There's nothing here that like goes specifically in a deck unless you want to take the professor or the combat professor, either of the professors, and kind of start working in that direction. But I think I would like to start with this cultivate and see what happens. Yeah, this command is not particularly good, unfortunately. I wish it were better. Now we've got a divide by 0 and some cards that are not divide by 0. There's also a shock, which is fine. It's the red Lash of Malice. There's also, frankly, Eureka Moment, but I think I'm interested in Divide, and we'll see where this takes us. Ooh, Quintorius. I do like a good Quintorius. If that's going to be open, I'm interested. I'd obviously rather have the Professor of Symbology for that deck. I feel like I'm either supposed to go Pop Quiz or Quintorius, and I'm not sure which. I think I'm going to take Quint and see what's open. It might just be go garbage. Like, this works with Quintorius, which is fine. But if we're seeing this fourth pick, that might be our sign to go ahead and get in and do Cultivate, Blood Researcher things. Yeah, it's difficult to say what's actually open here, considering the only thing for a Witherbloom deck would be the Arch, the Mage Duel, the Mage Hunter's Onslaught, and the other Blood Researcher, whereas the other decks would have access to exciting cards such as Dragon's Approach. Ironically, I think the Arch is probably more important. But I suspect we're looking at these as includes and possibly doing something with these. We'll see. Witherbloom doesn't always want to ramp, but sometimes it's interested in splashing for something like an Aether Helix, frankly. I don't know that I want to commit to straight up Sultai nonsense. But I look at this as mostly a removal spell for fractals, and it's pretty good at doing that. It's at least a late adjacent expel. Quandrix Campus could still do some work for us, and there's a possibility we ditch this Blood Researcher and just get into Teamer stuff. I'll need to see if any of those Witherbloom cards wheel. Well, never mind. I feel like now I can just pretty confidently say we can go green-black. Because that's 8 picks where nobody wanted this Onslaught. With any luck, we'll wheel the other Blood Researcher, and other people took the removal spells. And we'd be like, I don't know, a Pledge Mage and an Apprentice off from a reasonable deck. There's the Pledge Mage. Sorry, I was really grumpy this morning, boys and girls. I had a headache, and it has not gone away. None of this is for us. I don't think I'm swapping out, but I still can't quite bring myself to take the Dusk Mage. This was, I think, the pack we wanted to wheel something. And it looks like we didn't, unless it was the next one. I was aggressively grumpy this morning. And complaining more than usual. I don't mind duress, but it's a little worrisome that there was a pack that had three good cards for our color pair and they didn't wheel. That makes me a little worried. I'll probably just main deck that. That Expel is incredibly late. I don't need the second campus. I actually really like duress in this format. I think it would take a lot for me to shift into like black-white from here, but I'm not opposed to it because the green cards I'm wanting aren't coming back. I could get into something weird like Mardu with Quintorius and Archivist. There's Sparring Regimen and Doomblade. That's interesting. My complaint about duress is usually, I think we take the Sparring Regimen and then see how we can work the mana, because all of a sudden we might just be playing Abzan things. But if you think about this format, there's so many spells and creatures that make spells. So even if you draw it late, you can wait until they cast a learn spell and then aren't able to cast the one from their hand in the same turn and nab or fractal summoning. So I found duress to be pretty dang good. I do feel stupid passing the Doomblade, but I'm going to see if we can make this work. I doubt we get to play both of these, but we could almost get into some sort of weird, like, green, white, black shenanigans. I'd hate to be playing straight 3-color, though. I'm usually pretty interested in Pilgrim of the Ages in these decks, and it looks like the pest summoning would certainly be useful. If we're looking at something closer to this, we'd almost have to be green-white based. Which is weird, but certainly doable. Don't mind the first rise. That'll be nice and easy on the mena. So yeah, we're like green-white currently splashing a bit of black. Or are we? Maybe not. Because this looks pretty dang good to me. I almost always want one Spectre. And I think I would be interested in a pest summoning, but I don't think we go nuts with it here. Are we black-white? I don't think so, although we could consider it. But I think the Arch, the Cultivate, and the Blood Researcher are good for us currently. I also really like Spectre. Can probably be a grown-up and take the pest summoning now, although the Witherbloom Campus would be a very welcome addition. I also don't hate Adventurous Impulse. But I would like to have some lessons, and we currently don't have any. That's quite welcome. This was better than nearly anybody thought it would be. This isn't exactly what I want to be doing, but we could play it. This one's gone a little bit sideways, but we'll make it work. I'm interested in picking up a few more twos, but I'm also interested in having matching lessons and learn. Much go figure we were going to have too many, but I'll deal. I don't know that this deck is going to be that interested in a cram session, although it could play it. That's a possibility. I've overall liked Drought too. It's a decent combat trick. I think I prefer Infuse to the Agonizing Remorse. And I'm concerned enough about playables, because I'd rather have the Remorse than the Duress. Reasonable sideboard card. Well, a lot of Witherbloom decks, this one's a little bit of an exception, but cards like... We're obviously going to take the Elite here. Cards like Professor's Warning, Snakeskin Veil, Infuse, Tend the Pest, you kind of want some number of those cards, because a traditional Witherbloom strategy is about making one creature arbitrarily large and then trying to kill someone with it. And you need something to stop Burying Books and Expel. Because if they have those cards, you're just going to basically die. So Tend the Pest is actually better against Burying Books, whereas Professor's Warning is better against Expel. But Snakeskin Veil just kind of does all of that. So you'd kind of prefer that one if you can get it. I'm trying to decide between Lash of Malice and Blood Researcher. I think the Lash is just a better pick. I'd very much like to have 2 Blood Researchers, but I'd also like to not die to flyers. This is a pack and a half, eh? Get flunked. Researcher's not the game plan. Sparring Regimen or Researcher is the game plan. I can kill him with a freaking Pest token with Sparring Research. I have zero interest in playing Tend the Pest in this deck. We want the Biblioplex Assistant. I'd mentioned that this deck is not your traditional Witherbloom deck, and it isn't. It's not looking to put all of its eggs into one basket. I don't need the land. At this point, I don't think I need the Expel, so our White Splash is down to basically just the Regimen, and maybe we could cast this sometimes. Yeah, that's what it's asking. If they play a Sparring Regimen, it's like, yo, can you kill literally every card I play? I'd really like another 2-drop. But I may not have access to one. If I take this introduction of Sadness, I could play Cram Session, which is not great, but fine. Fumes is a nice addition. Heck yeah. This deck looks pretty good and doesn't even have to play that many bad cards. Man, I wish I'd taken that Blood Researcher earlier. Like, really, the only thing the deck is missing. How do I feel about you? Not great. I don't want you. We could splash the Aether Helix here. The white is just better than what? Our mana's good enough to play all of this. I don't know why we wouldn't. I do need a couple more cards, so I'm going to have to play some stuff I'm not thrilled about, but let's add in an Expel and probably a Biograph and call it a deck. These chips are making me thirsty. It sure is Butt Stallion. I don't think I want to play the Aether Helix. I love the fact that that got into the game because the dude doing the voice lines was eating pretzels and accidentally recorded that line. Adam with the kills, Thangarth with the assists. Rewards for Miklas, Thangarth, Adamaniac, and Go-Go Bronco. For those who played Borderlands 2, there's a line where Handsome Jack is talking smack to you and then coughs and says, "These pretzels are making me thirsty." Which is pretty funny. No, that wasn't a Seinfeld reference. It was a Borderlands 2 reference. The Cuddy deck ended up 2-1, which I was pretty happy with. I don't love the Cram Session here, but I can play it. I also really only need one white source. Was it? I thought it was these pretzels are making me thirsty. This gives me 6, 7. Yeah, I may have to go a little heavier on the black, even though we've got Cultivate to, in theory, fix for black. I feel like we're going to want black and green early, and then white when it shows up. Abzan, eh? I haven't drafted anything exactly like this before, but let's give it a go. Maybe we're onto something. I'm almost done with my chips, YouTubers, so you won't have to listen to my crunching too much longer. Whatever the line was, it was one that he did entirely by accident. This ain't lovely, but let's give it a run. Handsome Jack was everyone's favorite villain of all time. I'm not blogging here because a combat trick on this dude would be catastrophic if we can't even get to learn off of it. Because this hand is going nowhere fast. Now it's a little less scary because at least we're generating some value off of it. So I don't mind blocking the 2-1 with it this turn, although it's possible we still just take this and make a block when we have Infused with Vitality up. But they don't even have an attack here, eh? That's pretty exciting. Yeah, Infused with Vitality could be a lot of fun this turn. Because this is a 5/5 and they don't know it. Oh. I could infuse it right now and then sack it. But I feel pretty comfortable here. Makes me a little nervous to tap out of it this turn. But I think it's still worthwhile. Because worst case scenario, I can still get our Herpaderps here. I never saw that episode. I didn't watch like Seinfeld religiously, but it was on TV when I was a kid. So I caught an episode here or there. It was usually pretty funny. But it was also just kind of the start of a series of television shows of like somewhat morally deplorable characters. Like isn't It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia kind of the spiritual successor of Seinfeld? Obviously, they're way worse. So Dust Speaker we can block. And I think probably have to. Show me what you got. All right, so that's going to make it 6 toughness and 3 power. So if I infuse with vitality on well, let's let it resolve first. If I infuse with vitality on this, nothing can really go wrong, but this is at least dead. They'd have to kill it in response, and I don't think there's anything that can do that. Because gaining the 2 life should be enough to win the combat. I guess they could have another combat trick, but even if they do, their guy's going to die. I suppose that's the downside and why maybe I should have infused the other thing, but... Nah, that would just keep the Dust Speaker alive. Do you have an Infuriate too? That's a little hard for me to believe. I'd feel pretty comfortable with the Necrotic Fumes in hand in case they play a bomb of some sort, but I don't really need it right now. Because I feel like we're pretty good to just play this and attack. Like, we're at 22, we have a 9/9. So they're doing very fast Lorehold aggro-y things. Which I think we're relatively well set up against. We didn't see any flyers. Doesn't mean there aren't any. Something like Expel is going to be a little more valuable here, but it's like the only thing I know I don't want is the Groff. Like, that's got to go. That is not helping us here. This could give us like some concern of like, I say concern, some answer to like Big Flyer, which often exists in that deck. But I almost just want another Expel. I realize our mana didn't work out there, and they don't even know that I'm splashing white. It is a 2-drop, and it's cute to be able to return it with the Pillar Drop Rescuer, which is, you know, one of the things I was thinking about as I was building this, is that's kind of a neat interaction. And it is a relatively good body against them. So it's got some things going for it. Maybe it's still worth keeping, and like the value proposition is just good. Like, we're not casting it for 2, but being able to play a 5-drop into another 5-drop is pretty swift. I still think I could probably use another Expel. And Duress should be just fine against them, right? Like, there's combat tricks we could pick. I guess there's the argument that Duress may be our worst card against them, but it should be good against a deck that thinks it's good to play Illuminancer. Like, I'll keep it the same. I'm still a little tired, but getting better. That seems Cult of Great. Spiteful Squad's still going to block something, which is kind of what we want it to do. You won it, didn't you, Jordan? Or am I misremembering? Oh yeah, Kanata won. That's right. So we can read them now for +2/+2. And as long as that's what's up, we're pretty safe. The +1/+1 would have worked here. Is there a +1/+1? I think I care about this enough to kill it, right? Yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't kill this. Okay. That's the one. Okay. So that's what they had. It felt like, nonetheless, it was a pretty obvious read for they have combat trick. Blocker beware. Why did they scoop? They didn't have any cards in hand. Chip crumbs all over my feet. You don't want to eat feet crumbs. I mean, I'm okay with my opponents scooping whenever they would like to. That is fine by me. Bleh. Meh. We can talk about this one. It was kind of weird to send Rise back, but that's not what I'm looking for right this second. I want to make sure we have a mix of creatures and removal. Now I'm kind of just interested in seeing if I can cheese a win with Sparring Regimen. And when you add Rise of Exodus to the mix, your chance of winning drastic go down. I don't think I'd be casting any of this in the near future, but sure. We were not able to solve the pipe mystery yet, but I'm gonna call the plumber dude later and get that sorted out. Vangarth is an actual plumber. I've been hearing a knocking sound in the pipes, not very loud and rhythmic. I checked and we had not reset the house from when we winterized it. So I turned those on and I haven't been noticing it as much now, but I think I did hear it once. But I'm figuring if I hear it again over the weekend, I'm going to call my plumber dude. So what are they doing? Just random Sultai? They got good flyer defense. Come up the ground, play flying blockers. But that's something I should call a plumber for, right, Thangarth? We hear some knocking around going up on in there. We ought to contact a professional. Lash doesn't look particularly good. I think I'm somewhat interested in a defend the... I don't need to defend the campus. I got 2 Mage Hunters on slot and a Baleful Mastery. I think we're actually just fine. I don't think it is a malign spirit. Nah, it's more like thump, 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 thump for about 10 minutes and then it stops. Not dealing with that. I think this is worth expelling, because I've still got an answer to a fractal, and that's going to block my plans if the game continues to go long. It's definitively coming through the pipes, though. Well, I should listen to the plumber. I should listen to the plumber. There's some possibility that they could have something better. But I've always got the necrotic fumes if that's the case. If they've got like a bookworm or something. This should be fine. be something else making the noise. That's fair. So is the only thing we're actually worried about their Death Toucher currently? I think so. Because I've got 6. We can just let the drain games begin. It's pretty good standard. I will eventually need blockers, so what could we get if we pop this guy? Because a spell would be kind of nice here. We could get Introduction to Prophecy, which is a start. We could get Pest Summoning, which sort of does something. I need to have enough to drain and pop it currently. Because here we're kind of looking at like block 2 things. I'd like to be able to keep the Dragon Guard Elite alive. But I don't really feel like I can do that. Because we're going to gain 3, go up to 10. And then have 2, 4, 6, 8 coming in. I'm going to have to trade him off. Sucks. That would have been nice to have earlier. I got enough to drain and do that, right? It looks like I do. That is pretty trippy. I can, in theory, attack now. That's actually not that risky. All right, let's do our Stream Raiders battle. Good games, Dr. Toilet. Are you a plumber? I've certainly made mistakes like that in this format. I don't think we're actually in need of a plumber. I think I need to do what Thangarth suggested and then call my plumber dude if that doesn't solve the problem. I used to, Jordan, and now I don't. I have to place a battle plan calc, which I can do for the next one if you like. That way you can get your quest done. You subbed, but it didn't give a notification. Why isn't that showing up? Thanatos, thank you for the resub. How you been, bud? It's been a while. We'll do it live. Thank you very much, Thanatos. Adam with the kills, Miklas with the assists, rewards for Fee, Techno Shaman, and me, Ori. Thank you for the resub, my friend. We get more loot if we go this way. Glad to hear it. So a battle plan is where I make a little plan and then you have to follow it. Well, you don't have to, but it would be something simple like, let's put tanks in the front, ranged units in the back, and support units nearby. So once I save that battle plan, if you place units in the right spots, it'll complete your quest. You can still place stuff wherever you want, but if you follow it, it's a good deal. Now, it's far more important in the dungeons to do that. Adopted a baby girl. Congratulations, Thanatos. That's awesome. You must be a proud papa. If you don't get your quest finished through this one, remind me and I'll do it again for the next one. I don't bother setting up battle plans for the regular game, but for the dungeons you kind of have to. That's great, Thanatos. I hope things continue to go well in your world. It is very good to see you again. Oh, what is not very good is this hand. It has potential. It has potential to draw dead. But I think I'm going to do what George Michael suggested and have faith, a faith, a faith. Because it really just needs one land to get going. And I suspect we can draw one land in 3 draws. See? You just got to have faith, a faith, a faith. Do. Faith. I really miss being able to listen to music on stream. One-landers are a reasonable keep sometimes. Not often, but sometimes. I'm in a better mood. Way up high. Something lullaby. Well, I think you can stream music and hope that you don't get caught, which is not quite the same as streaming music. You know what I mean? Like, it's a thing that you can do. You can play some Twitch approved music. Not usually, Jordan. I've got some stuff from OC Remix that I'll usually play. I'm not doing it now because we're recording this for YouTube as well. Well, that's interesting. I'm trying to decide if I need to kill that or not. I can't, because of the way our draw is gone, I'm not able to untap Pledge Mage and get them, because, like, this looks pretty good, and we get the Flying Force going, but I do need to kind of kill all of these. Now that we've drawn the Rise, I'm thinking, what if we just fire off the Rise, get some pests, and move along with our life? And I think that's where I'd like to be. So the challenge is you'll get the copyright strikes, and if you get 3 of them, then you can't stream anymore. Like, you could get stricken down to the point that you can't stream, and I believe they passed a law making it a felony to violate copyrights, which, kind of stupid, if you ask me. I'm not dealing with that. So you're going to have to discard a card. Do it again. I think it is once they get there. So the question is, can I kill them before they're able to go off on me with this? I may still be able to beat it. It depends on what they've got. If they can chain some removal spells, they can get me. Otherwise, we might be in okay shape. I mean, it is like 9 mana, right? What is this thing? 6, 7, 8. It's 8 mana, win the game. 8 mana, maybe win the game if your deck cooperates and you've built around it entirely. It probably should win you the game if I can't get you killed by then. Whew. That's pretty good for them. It is not a huge hurdle to jump through in this format, no. But you do have to build around it somewhat, is all I'm saying. Wait a minute, this triggers off anything? No, it has to be spells, but then you can just cast whatever the heck you draw. It is indeed bananas. Bananas. Take me off to the ball game. Take me off the crowd. I think I'm just happier playing best of 3, yo. Being happy is indeed good. So pretty sure we kill this, give this dude flying. Okay. I think I may try it again when the season resets. I was not having fun. And I got into content creation not only to have fun, but like that was an important part of it for me. Some possibility we want to scry upkeep here. Probably about what you're good for now. I mean, it could be. They're at 10. They can't cast that many more spells, but they also don't need that many more spells. Like, this fractal summoning might be enough to kill me. But yeah, I was definitely getting close to burnout. There's so many spells I can't cast if I scry here. I don't think I can go for it. So we could take Necrotic Fumes and kill the 10/10, which seems okay. Then I still have to deal with the 5/6. Or I could just take the Pest Summoning and plan to block it for a little bit while providing damage in the air. It's an interesting conundrum, but I think the air is our answer and has been for some time. And I can take a hit or two. Not a lot of them, but this will kill him if it can connect 3 times. Then again, if they kill it, we could be in some amount of danger. I probably can't scry here either because I think I need the 6 mana to pump this. Well, maybe I don't. Because I'm pretty sure drawing a 3/1 isn't what we're looking for here. We want a Blue Sun Zenith and 3 islands. I don't know. They got to cast 21 more cards than me. That seems like it might be pretty good. Oh god, this is miserable. I have some complaints about the format, which I have discussed. There are aspects of it which I do not care for. This is kind of one of them. Because it starts to become... I'm not even sure what I'm looking for here. Just not that. I guess that. They've got a 8 mana win the game card that I can't interact with. So we have to be able to kill them faster than that. Which means we're probably less interested in Expel. Because that's not really helping us. Defend the Campus would be nice and in some spots. Like, they're playing Fractals. I could try Humiliate to pull it. I actually don't hate that either. Because the Duress can't hit that. And I feel like the Biblioplex Assistant is going to lock me into some weird lines that I don't want. So I think we'll take the Humiliate and keep the Duress. The mana is going to need to cooperate, but it should still do that. Because I'm not looking to Humiliate on turn 2. I'm looking to Humiliate before turn 8. It's okay for you guys to like it. This is not my favorite format. The last format we've had that I thought was really great was Ikoria, and I also liked Core Set 21. This is not the fast hand that we want, but I've got my mana sorted. I do like the Cultivate. I think we're like, I don't know, a 2 and a 3 away from business. And we know what happens when you mulligan. Well, in theory, all sets are aimed at drafting. Core sets traditionally are aimed at newer players. But supposedly all sets are designed for drafting. This is a really good start for us. Like I said, I've got my land, and boy howdy do we. Ikoria had a ton of life gain. Yeah, Bushmeat Poacher was the bee's knees. The Cram Session gets me a couple of 1/1s. That doesn't seem like what I want right now. I feel like I need a removal spell. I guess this is buying me a little bit of time to get to the removal spell. But my goodness, is it not fun. I can get Necrotic Fumes, but that isn't really doing anything either. Yeah, we can discard and try to go deeper, which I guess is fine. It's just like, imagine we discarded into Rise of Extus. I suppose it's not that threatening. But yeah, none of this is actually doing anything. I suppose the Spirit Summonings could, but... Okay, more lands is really good. Ooh, if I could have picked what we drew, I would have picked that. Good grief. Haven't played a card game that has the amount of RNG connected to lands and mana screw. Yeah. That's the biggest difference between this and Hearthstone, is Hearthstone has its randomness printed on the cards, whereas Magic has it built into the mana system. A lot of people will think that Hearthstone is more random than Magic because they're bad and don't understand how card games work. Well, the idea there was, Daryl, I wanted to hit something that I could cast in the same turn. I was thinking of the Expel as well as the Humiliate. We're getting very close to the turn we would need to find Humiliate. We're also getting very close to Dead, which is not helping. I don't mind the randomness being in the land system. I mind it when they start building randomness into the cards and the mana system. Like, if Hearthstone had a mana system like Magic, it would be terrible. Like, actively bad. We're just dead. If I'd been fast enough to scry, we would have revealed this land. I'll take a 2-1 though. It ain't too bad. I can hear that thumping going again. I'm going to have to investigate that. But that's going to do it for our YouTube draft. YouTubers, thank you for tuning in. If you would like to see more drafting, do stop by the stream. It's at twitch.tv/Semulin. We will still be drafting. Who knows what other games we might even play. But I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you next time.